Okay, welcome back. I trust that you have filled out your prediction sheets at this point. So now what we're going to do, we're going to show the demonstration. I've kind of set it up already, and so it's a little bit easier for us to get started. I have these separated. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the cut 3x5 card that we have. Again, these are note cards. They're a little bit thicker than papers, but they're not quite as thick as, say, cardboard. So these tend to work better. And what you're trying to do is get a seal over each of the jars, so that when you flip it over, everything, for the most part, stays intact. It can be a little bit messy, but that's okay. All right, so for this side, what we're going to do, I'm going to take my card, I'm going to put it over, and you can't see it, but what I've done is I filled the water up just over the edge of the jar, so that you have like a concave set of water there, and that forms a nice vacuum, if you will, over top, so that the seal stays as we do this, and it makes it a little easier to flip it over. So what I'm going to do very carefully, I'm going to take this, I'm going to flip it over. All right, see, we can get a little messy, and that's okay. That's going to be number 1. All right, that's our cold water over hot water. Okay? And then we're going to see what happens in a couple of minutes after I get this one set up. I want to try and get them as even as possible. Again, I have my little vacuum set. You can see some of the water will spill out. That's okay. Not a big deal. You have to try and keep it as best of a seal as we can. I flip it over. Again, it can be a little bit messy. Didn't work quite as well today as it has in the past, but that's all right. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Experiments aren't always pretty sometimes. Sometimes they are. So this is our hot water over cold water. So you've made your prediction about the cold water above the hot water. This is your chart on the right. And what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to just move this just over just a little bit. And cold water over hot water, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out this sheet, and we're going to see what happens when they jump together. Okay? And we try and keep it as even as possible. And what do you see happening? All right, you can see that they're mixing together. All right, the cold water comes down, and it mixes with the hot water, and we got, well, it's hard to see on the video, but we got a very nice purple color of our water now. So now I'm going to do the hot water over cold water. Is the same thing going to happen? What was your prediction? I don't want you changing it. This is all what it is about science. It makes it fun to learn. All right, what do you think is going to happen here? Is the same thing going to happen? Is something different going to happen? Let's find out. All right, I slowly pull it out. I've taken it out. There is nothing in there. You can see the whole sheet certainly came out. And what's happened? The hot water, the red has stayed separate from the blue water. Okay? It has stayed separate. So what I want you to do while using this demonstration to see what you found, I want you to answer the last 4 questions. All right? Do you expect the results you saw? Why or why not? What did you expect to see, and why didn't you see it, do you think? All right? What's the science behind it? See if you can explain the science behind it. And what conclusions can you draw from the experiment? All right? Those are 3 of the big questions I want to ask. And then the last one, it's a give an example of some substances that might result in the same type of result that we see here, all right, on this side. What might result in that? See what you can do, all right? I will be back, and we'll go over those questions in a little bit. But I want you to fill those out and see what you think.